Hi, today you're sewing with Cody, and in this video we are working on the new Bernette B70 series. This machine is specifically the B79, but everything that I'm going to go over today will be very similar. It's identical with all the B70 series, the B79, the B77, and then the B70. So the B79 is a combination sewing and embroidery machine. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to convert the foot, the shank, and the stitch plate from sewing to embroidery. And also we'll do a little cleaning in the machine, because keeping a nice clean machine is just extremely important. So right now, as you can see, the foot, we have the regular sewing foot on with the regular shank, and we have the 7mm stitch plate on. So we're going to take all of this off and put on the 0mm stitch plate and the embroidery foot. So first thing what we can do is we can snap off the foot, and this is one of the dual feed feet, as we can see here. So this is one of the feet you can use or engage the built-in dual feed, which is right here. So now I want to take off this shank here. So there's a little screw here. So sometimes you can get with your hand. If not, you have your little handy dandy screwdriver. You can get in there and loosen it up, and then you can unscrew it. And then you can take off this little shank. So when switching to embroidery, you've got two different feet. You have your regular, just kind of non-hopper embroidery foot. And then you also have, assuming I can find it. Oh my goodness, it's right here. So in here is where all your little accessories and stuff is. So then you've got, I thought I lost it there for a minute. So then you've got this more fancier embroidery foot, which has a little hopper on it. So this is excellent for bulkier fabrics, but I've been using this for just normal, everyday embroidery. So what we're going to do before we put anything else back on the machine, we're going to take off our stitch plate, because as you can see here, it's the 9mm stitch plate. So you can use your little screwdriver again, and you can loosen these screws. You can use your finger to kind of take them out the rest of the way, and then you're going to take off your stitch plate. And so down here, while we're down here, I'm going to show you how to clean it. So what we can do is we can take out our bobbin. This isn't something you would need to do when just changing your stitch plate, but since we have it open, we might as well give it a little brush out and make sure it's clean. So we can remove our bobbin, and this is our bobbin case. So this comes out like this, and in our little drawer, I should have our little brush. So we can get in there and clean all of the lint out. There's not too much lint in here. I've been doing more embroidery on this than sewing. Getting there and clean all the little lint. So now once you've got that all cleaned up, we're going to insert our bobbin case back in. Now this is something I want you to look at. So here we have a little arrow. So this little arrow on the bobbin case, when we insert this, should line up. See if we can get it in there. There we go. So one of the easiest ways to kind of maneuver it in, so you've got this bar here that's kind of holding everything down, but it's also in your way. But so here we're just going to kind of come in at an angle, kind of like from the right side, and get it so it fits nice and snug in there. Not like that. There we go. And it should fit nice and flat. And so if you're looking, let's see if I can get the camera in there a little better. So you can see a little white arrow right here, and it's kind of lining up with this white dot. So that's where that arrow should be. It should be nowhere else, because you can insert it incorrectly, but as long as that arrow is kind of pointing towards that white dot, you're doing good. And this sits nice and flush. It's very, very important. And another little thing you can look at is this little nod right here, whatever you want to call it. Let's see if we can zoom out a little more. So this piece should be on this side of this little guide. That's to ensure that when it's moving around, that doesn't spin, because it shouldn't spin around. So now we can take our 0mm stitch plate. So the way we can tell the difference is, so the 0mm stitch plate just has a hole, just room for the needle, and the 7mm stitch plate has a nice big opening. So we can do decorative stitches, zigzags, and whatnot. But for embroidering, or if we are piecing, like doing a quilt or doing anything delicate where we're just doing a straight stitch, we want to use our 0mm stitch plate. What's nice is when we insert this, the machine knows that we put the straight stitch plate on, so it will only let us do a straight stitch. And the way it knows is this little guy here in the top left-hand corner pushes down on this little sensor right there. And that's the little sensor that tells the machine that it's a 0mm stitch plate, because there are only 2 stitch plates available for the machine, and they both come with the B79. So we just set it right there on top of there. And before we continue to screw this on, as soon as I put this stitch plate on, my screen changed. That means the machine recognized that I have the 0mm stitch plate. So it basically is telling me that I can't move my needle left to right. And now it's showing the 0mm stitch plate. So if I were, just so you can see, to take this off, the screen changed again, informing me that something's changed, and then now it's 7mm. So I'll put this back on. But I just want you to show you that things do change, and it recognizes that you are changing something. So now we're going to insert those screws back in. Oh, look at that. So you can kind of just get them in there most of the way with your fingers, and then use your screwdriver to tighten them back up. So now we can use this little lever, and this little door opens up, and now we can insert a bobbin before I lose it again. Oh, it's somewhere. There we go. And so on the cover, it gives you a little diagram of the direction and how to thread your bobbin into your bobbin case and your machine. So the thread comes off counterclockwise. So let's drop her in, and then we're going to feed the thread underneath that little black guide following the arrow. We'll come up and over, come down, and there's a little blade at the bottom, and it will, oops, cut. So you'll put this back on. And now, so your bobbin's back in your bobbin case, your 0mm straight stitch plates on. So now let's put on one of the feet. So we're going to put on this more complex foot, just because, so you can see the difference. Because this regular embroidery foot would just go on super, super simple, like any other shank. So you would almost have to completely take off the screw, and it would go on just like that, essentially. But we're going to do something a little more complex. We're going to put on this guy. So this guy isn't too much different. So what we're going to do is this little bar needs to go above your needle screw right here. So I'll show you that again. So this kind of just comes in, and so this goes into that, and that bar right here goes on top of that needle screw, which is the screw that holds the needle in. Just like that. If anything, it's easier than a smaller foot. But that's it. So you finger tighten it, and then you can give it a little extra tight, little turn with your handy-dandy screwdriver, and that's it. So now your machine in this section is all set up for embroidery. All right, hopefully that helps with some of the details of changing feet and shanks and changing your stitch plate and all that with your new Bernette B79, B77, or B70. All right, happy sewing.